What if the universe is far larger than the world we can see? Not simply larger in distance, but layered. Worlds beneath worlds, heavens above heavens, realms inhabited by gods, sages, serpents, demons, spirits, and beings whose lives stretch across unimaginable spans of time. According to the cosmology described in several Hindu Puranas, existence is divided into 14 lokas, 14 worlds, realms, or planes of being. We live in Bhur-loka, the earthly realm. There are 6 higher lokas above it, and 7 subterranean lokas beneath it. But these realms have never been understood in only one way. Some interpret them literally, as actual regions of the cosmos that may be reached through death, rebirth, spiritual power, or altered states of existence. Others interpret them psychologically, as symbolic levels of consciousness existing within us. Perhaps they are both. Perhaps the ancient sages were mapping the universe outside us and the universe inside us at the same time. So let us begin our journey. But instead of traveling upward towards the heavens, we will first descend into the mysterious worlds beneath the earth. And here is our first surprise. The lower lokas are not necessarily hell in the Abrahamic sense. In fact, some are described as being more luxurious, more technologically advanced, and more breathtakingly beautiful than our own world. Atala, the realm of enchantment. The first realm beneath earth is Atala. Atala is associated with Bala, the powerful son of Maya, the legendary architect of the Asuras. It is described as a world of enchantment, seduction, and extraordinary sensual pleasure. Its inhabitants live surrounded by beauty, luxury, and mystical experiences. Every desire appears capable of being satisfied. At first, Atala sounds less like an underworld and more like the world's most exclusive resort. But psychologically, Atala may represent a life governed entirely by appetite. Pleasure is not necessarily evil, but when pleasure becomes the only purpose of existence, it can become its own prison. You may possess everything you desire, and still have no idea of who you are. Vitala, the realm of gold. Beneath Atala lies Vitala. This realm is associated with the form of Lord Shiva known as Hatakeshvara, who resides there with the goddess Bhavani. Vitala is famous for the river Hataki. According to the traditional description, substances connected with this river produce a special form of gold known as Sataka. The inhabitants use this gold to create magnificent ornaments, palaces, and objects of astonishing beauty. Vitala is a realm of wealth, power, and material splendor. Psychologically, it may represent our fascination with possession. Vitala asks a disturbing question. Do you own your wealth, or does your wealth own you? Sutala, the kingdom of Mahabali. The third realm beneath earth is Sutala. It is ruled by the great Asura king Mahabali, also known as Bali Maharaja. Mahabali was powerful, generous, and deeply devoted. His growing influence became so great that Lord Vishnu descended as the dwarf avatar Vamana. Vamana approached the king and asked him for as much land as he could cover in 3 steps. Mahabali agreed. The dwarf then expanded into a cosmic form. With 1 step he covered the earth. With the second he crossed the heavens. With nowhere remaining for the 3rd step, Mahabali humbly offered his own head. Because of the surrender, Lord Vishnu did not simply destroy him. He granted Mahabali the magnificent kingdom of Sutala and promised to protect him. Sutala is therefore not merely the kingdom of a demon. It is the kingdom of an ego that learned how to bow before something greater than itself. The story reminds us that spiritual greatness is not determined by the group into which one is born. A deva may become arrogant, an asura may become noble. Character matters more than category. Talatala, the world of Maya. Below Sutala lies Talatala, the kingdom of Maya. Maya is the supreme architect, engineer, and sorcerer of the Asuras. He possesses extraordinary knowledge of construction, machinery, illusion, and hidden forces. Talatala is a world of grand cities, magical technologies, and realities. They may not be what they seem. Its ruler is also said to enjoy the protection of Lord Shiva. Psychologically, Talatala is the realm of constructed reality. Human beings also live inside worlds built by Maya. Not necessarily the deity, but Maya, illusion. We inhabit stories, identities, ideologies, brands, social roles, and digital environments. We create systems and then forget that we created them. Talatala is intelligence without guaranteed wisdom. It represents the brilliant mind capable of constructing almost anything, while remaining uncertain about what is actually worth constructing. Mahatala, the world of the Nagas. The fifth subterranean realm is Mahatala. This is the domain of the Nagas, immense, mysterious serpent beings, often depicted with multiple hoods. They live in great communities, surrounded by family, power, and ancient knowledge. Yet despite their strength, they live with a constant fear of Garuda, the enormous eagle-like mount of Lord Vishnu, and the natural enemy of serpents. Mahatala is therefore both powerful and anxious. Psychologically, it resembles the instinctive mind. The serpent is one of humanity's oldest symbols. It can represent danger, hidden knowledge, sexuality, transformation, and life energy. The inhabitants of Mahatala possess enormous power, but they remain watchful. Something is always circling above them. It is the state of having much to protect, and therefore much to fear losing. Rasatala, the fortress of conflict. Below Mahatala lies Rasatala. This realm is inhabited by powerful Daityas and Danavas, races frequently opposed to the Devas. They are formidable, physical, and warlike. They live within great subterranean fortresses and remain locked in an ancient struggle against the celestial powers. Psychologically, Rasatala is the world of permanent conflict. Life is divided into allies and enemies, us and them, victory and humiliation, dominance and submission. In Rasatala, strength becomes the highest virtue, because existence is experienced as an endless battle. Many people inhabit this state without ever entering a mythical underworld. When every conversation becomes a contest, every disagreement becomes an attack, and every relationship becomes a struggle for control, Rasatala is already present. Patala, the jewel-lit abyss. At the bottom of the 7 subterranean lokas lies Patala, often closely associated with Naga-loka. Patala is inhabited by magnificent and dangerous serpent beings, including celebrated Naga kings such as Vasuki and Shankapala. Yet Patala is not described as a place of darkness. The jewels upon the hoods of the Nagas radiate their own supernatural light, illuminating palaces, gardens, and vast underground landscapes. The lowest world is therefore lit from within. That is a powerful image. Psychologically, Patala may represent the deepest layer of the unconscious, the ancient, instinctive foundation of the personality. It contains forces we fear, but also treasures we do not yet understand. The deeper we descend into ourselves, the less ordinary sunlight can guide us. We require another kind of illumination, an inner light. And now, having reached the deepest regions of the cosmic structure, we begin our ascent. Bhur-loka, the world of action. We return to Bhur-loka, Earth, the physical world of human beings, animals, plants, birth, death, struggle, beauty, confusion, and choice. Compared with the magnificent realms above and below it, Earth may seem ordinary. But Hindu philosophy gives this world a unique importance. Earth is often described as Kama Bhumi, the field of action. Other realms may allow beings to enjoy the rewards of previous actions or endure their consequences. But human life offers the rare opportunity to consciously change direction. Here we make choices. Here we create new karma. Here we may descend into greater ignorance, or begin the journey towards liberation. Earth is not important because it is comfortable. Earth is important because it is difficult, and difficulty makes transformation possible. Bhuvar-loka, the subtle space. Above Earth is Bhuvar-loka. It is the intermediate region between the earthly and heavenly worlds, the subtle atmosphere extending beyond ordinary human perception. It is associated with spirits, celestial musicians, semi-divine beings, and other subtle forms of life. Psychologically, Bhuvar-loka may represent imagination, emotion, and the invisible forces connecting the material world with the mind. We cannot touch a thought. We cannot weigh a memory. We cannot place love, fear, or inspiration on a table. Yet these invisible realities shape almost everything we do. Bhuvar-loka is the recognition that existence contains more than solid objects. Svar-loka, the heaven of the gods. Above Bhuvar is Svar-loka, also known as Svar-loka. This is the radiant heavenly kingdom ruled by Indra, king of the Devas. Here, righteous souls enjoy the rewards of good karma. The realm is filled with celestial music, magnificent palaces, divine pleasures, and beings of extraordinary beauty and longevity. But there is a catch. Svar-loka is not necessarily eternal. Once the positive karma that brought a soul there has been exhausted, that soul must return to the cycle of rebirth. You might think of it as a cosmic luxury holiday, paid for from your karmic savings account. The experience may be wonderful, but eventually the balance runs out. Psychologically, Svar-loka represents happiness, success, and virtue, but not yet complete liberation. Even the most pleasant experience is temporary, when our peace depends on circumstances remaining pleasant. Heaven is still part of samsara. Mahar-loka, the world of the great sages. Above Svar-loka is Mahar-loka, the realm of great rishis and spiritually advanced beings. The inhabitants of Mahar-loka are no longer primarily concerned with pleasure, wealth, or power. Their attention is directed towards contemplation, wisdom, and the deeper structure of reality. Puranic cosmology describes enormous cycles of creation and destruction. At the end of a day of Brahma, the lower worlds are overtaken by cosmic dissolution. The sages of Mahar-loka are said to survive or move beyond this destruction. Symbolically, Mahar-loka represents a consciousness no longer completely shaken by the collapse of external structures. Civilizations fall, fortunes vanish, bodies age, identities change, but wisdom allows something within us to remain steady while worlds disappear. Jana-loka, the realm of pure knowledge. Above Mahar-loka lies Jana-loka. It is associated with Lord Brahma's mind-born sons, including the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat-kumara. These beings are symbols of purity, spiritual knowledge, and freedom from ordinary worldly desire. Jana-loka is not simply a place where beings know more facts. It represents direct understanding. There is a difference between knowing the word fire and feeling its heat. There is a difference between studying consciousness and becoming conscious of consciousness itself. Jana-loka is wisdom, no longer borrowed from someone else. Tapa-loka, the fire of transformation. Above Jana-loka is Tapa-loka. The word tapas refers to spiritual heat, discipline, austerity, and the transformative power generated through concentrated practice. The beings of Tapa-loka are profoundly detached. Through meditation and spiritual discipline, they have burned away the desires that ordinarily bind consciousness to material existence. Psychologically, Tapa-loka represents mastery over oneself. Not the repression of every desire, but freedom from being ruled by desire. Atala says, I must experience pleasure. Vitala says, I must possess. Rasatala says, I must defeat my enemies. Tapa-loka says, I no longer have to obey every demand arising within my mind. Satya-loka, the realm of truth. At the summit of the 14 worlds is Satya-loka, also known as Brahma-loka. This is the realm of Lord Brahma, the Creator, and is associated with the highest truth, extraordinary purity, and almost unimaginable spans of existence. It is considered the highest plane within the manifested material cosmos. Beings who reach Brahma-loka are extraordinarily advanced. Some Hindu traditions teach that those who attain the highest realization may achieve liberation and no longer return to the ordinary cycle of birth and death. But even Satya-loka reveals something profound. No location alone can guarantee freedom. Liberation is not merely a matter of traveling far enough upward. It requires the dissolution of ignorance, the mistaken belief that we are only the temporary body, personality, and ego. The ultimate destination may therefore lie beyond all 14 worlds, beyond above and below, beyond heaven and hell, beyond even the greatest architecture of the cosmos. The 14 lokas can be imagined as worlds arranged vertically through the universe, but they can also be understood as states through which the human mind moves every day. When we are consumed by pleasure, we enter Atala. When we measure our worth through wealth, we enter Vitala. When we live through illusion and constructed identities, we enter Talatala. When we become defensive and fearful, we enter Mahatala. When we divide the world into enemies and allies, we enter Rasatala. When we act consciously and accept responsibility, we return to Bhur-loka, the field of action. When we seek wisdom, we rise towards Mahar-loka and Jana-loka. When we develop discipline and become less controlled by craving, we approach Tapa-loka. And when we perceive reality without the distortions of ego, perhaps we glimpse Satya-loka, the realm of truth. In this sense, we do not have to wait until death to visit the 14 worlds. We travel through them constantly. Sometimes we rise and fall several times before breakfast. The lokas are not simply addresses in a distant supernatural universe. They are possibilities of consciousness. They are reminders that a human being can live in a palace and still inhabit an inner hell, or live through difficulty while carrying an inner heaven. So the most important question may not be, where are the 14 lokas? The most important question is, which loka are you inhabiting right now? And through your thoughts, choices, and actions, where are you going next?
Thank you for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please subscribe. This will ensure that more people can find this resource. Click the notification button so that you can be the first to know about new uploads. And please do comment below. I'll do my best to reply to any questions. Thank you.